All right, so let's talk about transphobia. This is a very important topic in general, but especially important to me. And I hope by the end of this video, you can see why. And my goal is just for more people to take a more anti-transphobic stance, rather than just being neutral or, oh, I'm not transphobic. So let's start where it all began. I'm going to give a little history on me, and then we're going to go with that. So in high school, I spent my part of my high school years in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States. And I was heavily into basketball. My whole focus was basketball, okay? And I got the chance to play on this amazing AAU team, and I'm traveling the country. I'm having the time of my life, you know. I met so many cool people. I played with so many cool people. Some of my teammates or ex-teammates are actually in the NBA now. So I was in terms of basketball heaven, I was in basketball heaven. I was meeting NBA players. I was on cloud nine, okay? So senior year, I have a bunch of academic scholarships, and I'm planning to select schools based on where do I think I can continue playing basketball on. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because there was no pressure on me because these scholarships were academic, so it didn't really matter. But I still loved basketball and I wanted to play. Anyways, I ended up choosing a school in Illinois because I wanted to stay with family, save money that way. And a week before everything was supposed to be finalized, this school found out I was an international student. So apparently throughout the whole process, they did not know I was not a domestic student. And when they found this out, they cut my scholarship money in half. Okay, guys, stay with me. I know you guys are thinking, what does that have to do with transphobia? Just stay with me. They cut my scholarship money in half. Okay? So now I have to go back to Canada. Okay, which I didn't want to do. I didn't want to do at all. And the only school open at the time was the university I graduated from, and the campus I was sent to was in Oshawa. So you have to imagine, I just went from living in Chicago, the big city, traveling all around the States, playing with future NBA players, meeting NBA players that I've always liked, to now I'm in Oshawa. So I'm in a devastated state of mind, all right? I am distraught, and I'm also the prime victim of the alt-rights, okay? So this is a story of how I almost fell into the alt-rights and how transphobia stopped me from falling all the way. So literally, you can say trans people saved my life. Well, not saved my life, saved my social credibility. I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying. But okay, so I'm in this school and I have a lot of anger in me, and I want to you just want to blame I'm in freaking no shade to Oshawa. I'm in freaking Oshawa, and I just had this amazing life, and in a summer it felt like everything had ended, So I'm in these online spaces, I'm watching a lot of the right-wing conservative grifters, and you're just looking to blame someone, and something kept coming up that stopped me from going all the way. Is that they would always talk about trans people and how they're ruining society and how they're a danger to our women. They hide behind the whole protecting women and children thing, which that used to snap me out of it, because I'm in university. This is 2017, 2018. And at the time, the biggest menaces to women was R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, Epstein, I can't think of any, but at the time there were, Bill Cosby. There were so many actual, whatever they were pretending trans people were, they were cis straight men who were doing that. And it just never connected in my head, because I'm okay, so you want me to believe that trans people are these crazy demons, but the crimes you're stating, they're not even the leaders in. Guys, I need you. I know I'm not explaining this right, but please stick with me. I've tried to film this so many times and I can't get this word out. So I'm falling for the alt-right because it's just a place that preys on young, angry boys who don't know where to direct their emotions towards. But when they keep talking about transphobia. I have too much common sense to fall for it, because now I'm thinking, okay, what if every trans person in the world was a child diddler? You know, I'm not gonna say the word because of YouTube and all that. Could they outperform men? Could they even outperform the Catholic Church? If every trans person was a child diddler, could they outperform the Catholic Church? No, they cannot. Okay, transphobia doesn't even make sense, and this is what like helped me get out of the alt-right pipeline, because transphobia doesn't even make sense. Because even if, like, let's say every trans person was a murderer, it would take a while for you to notice, because there's just so little trans people. So when I kept seeing all these white wing grifters, I guess most of them were white, but like right wing grifters, they just keep like pounding down on this trans issue. I'm like, there's not even enough trans people for us to care. If every trans person was like a thief, we wouldn't even notice. But like, imagine if every man was a thief, you would notice right away. If every woman was like a murderer, you would notice right now. If every woman just like got possessed and then they started murdering people, you would notice right away. You know what I mean? Like, trans people are like 0.01 of the population. So like the fear mongering never worked, because even though I was in like a hateful state and I was like in an angry state, I still had common sense even as a child. So I was like, man, you know, they'd get me all the other stuff, you know. Misogyny is baked into society, so I was very misogynistic, so they can get me on that. Ironically enough, I wasn't seeing a lot of like the racism. I don't know how. I feel like the racism should have snapped me out of it, but like I didn't see that until afterwards. By then I was already out of the pipeline. But every time they would bring up a trans person, I'm like, but these are protecting women. But I'm like, the biggest danger to women is men. It's not really trans people. Like, you know, like, when have you ever heard a woman be like, oh, I'm afraid to go out at night because of a trans person? No, it's because of a man. You know, the biggest dangers to kids is men. Like, it's not trans people. You know, the main point is like, there's just no sense in transphobia. And I hope I'm explaining that well, but like, it's hard to explain because it's not a logical thing. Because the fear mongering, so I don't know how the fear mongering works when most, like, back to like university, I was even thinking, I was like, I've never even met a trans person. So like, they were trying to get me to be afraid or like be wary of trans people. I'm like, out of everyone who's hurt me in my life, there has not been a trans people. And guys, if you don't, a little background on me, like I'm heavily into fashion. So I'm in a lot of queer spaces, and even in these spaces, I've only met like, I think 5 trans people my whole life. So they're not even, it's not like a common occurrence. I can't speak. But, you know, I use it as a litmus test. So like, to me, transphobia is the most important ism, and okay, is one of the most important ism. I'm not, obviously, you know, I'm black. I'm not saying racism, misogyny, and the rest are not. But for me, that's the most important, because that's what I use as my litmus test. Because you can find somebody who is against racism, against misogyny, sexism, and homophobia even, but like they can still be transphobic. Whereas I have never met an anti-transphobic person who also wasn't, you know, against misogyny, against racism, against, like, that's my litmus test. Like, even in friendships and dating, when I'm like analyzing someone, that's the main thing I'm watching for. I'm like, are you transphobic? Because if you are, I think, you know, I think you're an idiot. I think there's like a mental, it shouldn't be able to work. Because even at my least mature, my angriest, my most, I'm looking for a reason to direct all this anger, because I feel like something's been stolen from me. Even at my most vulnerable state, transphobia could not work, because it just made no sense. If it made sense, I'm sure I would have felt on all right, but it just doesn't make any sense, guys. Because a thing you should use if you want to like test if an argument is good, argue for it. So like I make arguments for transphobia. So okay, boom, all trans people are bad. Who can they outperform in anything? I wanted to give a more general take this video. Maybe I'll do another one where I give a more like politically sound take, because politics is what I want to talk about on this channel. This is my first video. But, you know, yeah, I'm taking on a lot of these topics as like a personal project for the world, because if you can fall for transphobia, you can fall for anything. You know, those are the people who can. Those are very dangerous people. Like people who, you know, you're living in buttfuck nowhere, and you have trans hysteria, and you've never met a trans person, and then actual people ruining your lives. You just don't care about. You know what I mean? Your church has probably done more damage to kids than any trans person. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one.